Welcome everybody to tonight's webinar on getting it done. Tonight we're going to be talking all about habits, productivity and results. You know, if there's any topic or any issue that I see more than anything else, it's how do I get it all done, Karen? So that's really what we're going to talk about today, is actually about becoming more productive, getting more things done on a day-to-day basis, but actually not working any harder. In fact, when you leave tonight and if you put into practice what I'm about to teach you, you'll actually find that you have more time than you've ever had before. So sit back, relax, get that mind wide open, and let's see what we can get into and share with you tonight. So we're really going to be focusing on closing those knowing-doing gaps. You know, when I sit around and I talk to people, they know what they should be doing. They've learnt it before, they've studied it before, they've been told 1,000 times, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're doing it. And that's the knowing-doing gap, and that actually is in our mind. And so we're going to learn a little bit about that tonight and how to close that. And when you start to close just one or two knowing-doing gaps in your life, you literally boost the productivity 1,000 times over. You really just start to create momentum. You start to get more things done. You feel better about yourself. You have more energy and so on. And that just starts a bit of a spiral. And so, you know, goal achievers, when we talk about goal achieving later on in this lesson, you know, they're productive individuals. They really do get things done. So that's what tonight is all about. And by the end of tonight, make sure you stick around to the end, because I do have a very special productivity kit to give you for free. So make sure you stick around to the end of the webinar so you can access that link and download those materials that I've created for you to put into practice straight away tomorrow to boost your productivity. So a little bit about my background. So there is lots of familiar names and familiar faces on the line tonight, but there's also a number of you that I haven't met. So first of all, welcome. I'm just so grateful that you made the decision to be here with me tonight and co-create this webinar with me. A little bit of my background. So for about the last 12 years, I have worked with individuals and companies around Australia, particularly in rural and regional Australia, focusing on business development, branding, ideas, entrepreneurship. In the last 18 months, I've partnered with a company called the Proctor Gallagher Institute, which is Bob Proctor and Sandy Gallagher. And they're based in Canada and the States. And I've brought a program of theirs to Australia called Thinking into Results, which is really all about how to think in a new and different way to skyrocket your results, to really understand how we can improve ourselves and improve the results that we're getting. Now, Thinking into Results was the brainchild of Sandy Gallagher, who you see there in the picture. She was a top banking law attorney in the States and recognized that there were all sorts of professionals at the top of their game, but they were stuck. You know, high-performing teams that were stuck. Where do I go next? What do I do? I'm busy. My day is full. How can I get more out of this? And she studied what Bob Proctor was teaching around human potential, and she designed the program Thinking into Results. So a lot of what we're going to be touching on tonight is pulled out of that program. I've pulled some of the key ideas from that to share and teach with you tonight. So you're really going to be getting some significant information tonight that if you take and apply it, will immediately improve the results in your life. So our vision at the Proctor Gallagher Institute is to improve the quality of lives globally by elevating the quality of thoughts individually. You know, the thinking that has got us to where we are today is not the same thinking that is going to get us to where we want to go. So if there are any gaps in your life, personally or professionally, it stands to reason that the thinking that has got you to where you are today is not going to be the same thinking that's going to close that gap. We're going to have to create some new dialogue for ourselves to work with. And that is what tonight is all about, is to teach you some of the basic principles as to how to actually get started and do that. So this is the program Thinking into Results that a lot of these concepts are going to come from tonight. So just to give you a little bit of background to that. Now, this topic on getting it done. I presented this in Birdsville last week. So I actually grew up in Birdsville, which is a tiny town in the middle of the outback in Central Australia of about 100 people. And last week I was out there spending some time with family. And I had about 14 locals along to this talk on productivity and habits, and they absolutely loved it. In fact, the response was amazing. I was getting people calling me and emailing me the next day to say how much they had noticed a difference in the way they felt going to work the next day. So that was the inspiration to turn this into a public forum webinar and invite anyone and everyone to come along and get this information. In fact, I think the true test of something is when my dad's about 68 or 69, and he turned around to me that night and he said, wow, I really learned some things tonight. So it must be good. I think if you can get your dad over the line, a true bushie, a true grazier who's been chasing cows his whole life, then there must be something in this that's worth the sharing. So sit back, relax, enjoy it, open your mind, make lots of notes. As we go throughout, if you do have a burning question, I really invite you to put up your hand and I can bring you off mute and you can ask that question live on the webinar. Alternatively, there is a question box. So you'll see in your control panel the opportunity there to write questions to me. So if anything comes up throughout or you get a kind of a question or an idea, feel free to type to me. And I'm seeing a few questions come in there now. And look, I'll try and keep an eye on that throughout. I've also got a couple of polls for you. So I've got a couple of questions there with a few multiple choice that I'm going to throw out throughout the webinar. So I really want this to be really interactive. We're trying to simulate what I did in Birdsville a week ago with that small group. So hopefully we'll have a lot of fun and really start to thrash around some of those habits and knowing doing gaps and give you some really key things to take home tonight. So let's get started with this first question. I want you to have a bit of a think now about what knowing doing gaps do you have that you're very aware of at the moment, where you know what you should or could be doing, but you're not necessarily doing it. So just have a bit of a think about that. Now you can type those to me in the question box, but I have also got a poll here for you. So I've just launched this poll and I want you to select one of the following that you think is a knowing doing gap for you at the moment, where perhaps you know what you should be doing, but you're not necessarily doing it. I've put a few of the common ones there. Exercise. Oh, I know I should be exercising, but I'm not really doing it. I'd rather hit snooze and roll over. What about healthy eating? Making choices around food and what you put in your body, where you know that piece of cake, it's off the radar. I shouldn't be eating that, but you eat it anyway. What about running late? I had a client today ring me and this was his question. He was like, this paradigm, Karen, I'm always running late. I used to be on time, but now I always run late. So maybe that's a knowing doing gap for you, where you just know that you just never seem to be on time. You're always chasing your tail. When I did this talk in Birdsville last week, it was interruptions. But it's out of my control. I'm always being interrupted. What about office work? I've got there keeping up to date with your bookwork. Look, I'll be completely honest with you. My office is not very tidy at the moment. That's a massive knowing doing gap for me. I'm very aware of it. So maybe that's something that's really burning for you at the moment. What about if you're in business? How do you feel about getting on the phone and calling clients or prospects or asking for the sale? Is that a knowing doing gap, where you know what needs to happen? You know what needs to happen to get that client or get that project over the line, but you're not necessarily doing it. Maybe you're a bit scared. Maybe you don't feel confident on the phone. So have a bit of a think about that. It's great to see a few. So we've got about 13% have said exercise, 13% have said healthy eating. We've got 25% running late, 25% office work, 33% calling, contacting prospects. Okay, so really, wow, okay, that last one is starting to really go up now. The knowing doing gap around calling or contacting prospects. Very interesting. I'm actually just going to write that down so I don't forget to come back and talk a little bit more about that. Here we go. Let me just make a note of that because that's very interesting. And not unusual, I must say, around that. Great. All right, I'm going to end that poll now if I know how to use this system, and we'll pull it off there. Great. Thanks so much, everybody, for I'm going to share those results. Will that work? Okay, there we go. There are the results that you can probably see on your screen now around that poll. So as you can see, running late, office work, calling, contacting prospects. So just think now, if we started to work on being a little bit more on time, being a little bit more up to date with our office work, calling an extra 2 or 3 people a day, what that might do for really improving the bottom line of our business or really improving the productivity of our day. So this is what we want to start really thinking about. So let me hide those results again. I've never done that poll before, but that worked really well. That was fun. So these are just some of the common ones that I hear a lot with clients and with people that I talk to on a day-to-day. Exercise, healthy eating, running late, keeping up to date with the bookwork. I always get the bass in late. I never feel like I'm on time. I can't find anything. We know what we should be doing, but we're not necessarily doing it. Calling or contacting prospects. What about procrastination? Does anyone procrastinate? Let me know in that question box. I'm expecting to see a lot of yeses. They're starting to come in. Look, procrastination is a big, big thing. And then what happens is we get into the habit of it. So it becomes uncomfortable to make a decision. Decision making is really a habit, and it should be something that's actually taught in school, because decision making is just such an important habit that we get in sync with. So we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight as well, about decision making and becoming better decision makers. My job, someone said this to me last week in Birdsville. They said the knowing doing gap around my job. I know what I should be doing, but I don't really think I'm doing it. So maybe you have a knowing doing gap around your job or your role, or there's parts of your role that you don't really like, that are very uncomfortable, that you don't really want to do, and you want to work on that. So all of these things we're going to cover tonight. So why do we have these knowing doing gaps? Why do we have these knowing doing gaps? In fact, where do they come from? The knowing doing gap is a paradigm. And we're going to learn more about that tonight. But a paradigm is a multitude of habits or beliefs or behaviors locked in our subconscious mind. So wherever we notice a gap between what we know and what we do, rest assured there is a paradigm at play. Paradigms keep you just where you are. If you want to know where your paradigm is, so maybe you're starting to think, I'm not sure what paradigms are controlling me, or I'm not sure what paradigms I need to shift. What you need to do is start to observe your behavior. In lesson 4 of Thinking into Results, we look at this, and actually the worksheet component of lesson 4 gets you to analyze your day. What time do you wake up? Are you productive from the moment that you get up? What are your thoughts? What sort of activities are you doing on a day-to-day basis? And starting to really analyze where your behavior is, and also start to look at your results. Results always are a true reflection of what is going on at a subconscious level. So if you want to know where your paradigm is at, just start to observe your behavior and your results. Now, you can do this with anything: the bottom line of your business, your financial statement, your relationships, your self-image, the way you interact with clients, sales, health and fitness, eating habits, anything. The paradigms are everywhere. So when you start to observe your behavior and how you respond or react to situations, and the results that you're getting in any area of your life, you're going to start to very quickly identify where there are paradigms that you might need to shift. Now, paradigms are a multitude of habits locked in a person's subconscious mind. Paradigms control absolutely everything that you do. You can consciously say something, you can consciously think something, but you'll do something completely different because the paradigm is not in harmony with that conscious thinking. So the paradigm, we're going to learn about this, this little stick figure diagram that I've got on the screen at the moment, but we have paradigms around everything. We might have a paradigm around money, the way we think about money, our beliefs around money, whether we can acquire it or not, rich or poor, wealthy or poverty. We might have, some really big paradigms around money. We don't have any money. That's a paradigm. What about time? Time can be a paradigm. I don't have any time. I'm busy. All my time is full. That rush, 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 rush. I couldn't possibly fit anything more into my day. I'm very, very busy, busy, busy. So maybe time is a paradigm for you, or the lack of it. And that's just the existence that you've come to know. So that's just the way the day rolls. When you wake up in the morning, I don't have any time. I'm very busy. Couldn't possibly do anything else. No time for that. And that's now become a paradigm. And maybe you're starting to say to yourself, gee, I don't really want it to be like that anymore. I'm a bit sick of this rushing, rushing, rushing and never feeling like can get anywhere. Or, gee, I'm a bit sick of this whole money thing I got going on. We never seem to have any money. Even though I earn a lot more money, our income has tripled, we still don't have any money. That's a paradigm. Relationships. Can't seem to hold on to any relationships. Or maybe you're single and you're looking for a partner. And you just always expect, I've got a friend who just always expects it to turn out the same way every time. And guess what it does? That's her paradigm. That is a conditioned, habitual way of looking at a situation. And that is what paradigms are about. Self-worth or self-image, So when we start to look at these things, we start to see habitual behaviors, habitual thinking processes, habitual results. Oh, we get money, we lose it. We get money, we lose it. I don't have any time. Even though I get organized in the office, I still don't have any time. So when we start to sit and really look at these things, we start to go, wow, right, I've been like that for months now. That's actually become a paradigm. That's become an automatic way of living. It is automatic. It is our default programming. That is the paradigm. So I often use this analogy that a paradigm, when you start to think about the knowing doing gap, and you know what to do, but you're not doing it. It's like you've still got the Windows 95 programming at a subconscious level. And a Windows 95 programming cannot give you Windows Vista performance. It cannot give you Windows Vista results. So you want the better results. You want to be doing better. Gee, we all have that desire to be doing better, to get better results, to be calmer. And we're trying to make all these physical changes in our life, but we haven't upgraded the programming. We haven't shifted the paradigm. You've got to upgrade the mental programming. You have to think in a new and different way and really start to shift that paradigm. As a result of that, you'll start to feel different, and your behavior and your action and your results will start to be different. So, I say this to clients, well, you can keep doing that. You can keep trying that, pushing stuff up a hill, and you can work harder than ever, and you can burn yourself out trying to get a better result. But unless you upgrade the quality of thoughts and the way you think about those situations, you will continue to get the same results, because that is the default programming. You will never get Windows Vista programming and operating performance while you're running on Windows 95. That's the way to think about your mind and the subconscious mind and the role that it plays in dictating what happens in your life. Does anyone have any questions about paradigms and this programming idea so far? If you do, put up your hand and I'll bring you on the line and you can answer that question, or you can just type to me in the question box. So now that we know that, let's say we've got Windows 95 programming around something in our life. Maybe it's a belief around money, or it's a time, or it's self-image or self-worth, or it's running late and we know we don't want to run late anymore. We want to be on time, we want to feel fit and, be positive. How do we actually go about starting to transform those results? How do we change our habits? How do we change our habits? I love this topic because when you grasp such a simple concept that is, don't let it confuse you with being super, super simple. It's actually quite complex, but it's so simple that we can take and actually use it on a day-to-day basis. How do we upgrade that subconscious programming? There is 2 ways we can upgrade the programming and shift the paradigm. So remember that a paradigm is a multitude of habits or beliefs locked in our subconscious mind. It's our automatic default. It is what we go to without having to think. We get up in the morning, we just know how the day is going to roll. There's no conscious effort or thought that goes into it. We're just on automatic. That's the subconscious mind. That's the paradigm that we exist in. So there's 2 ways to shift a paradigm. The first way is through an emotional impact. Now, this is not usually a positive experience. Often it's quite traumatic. So if you've lost a loved one, for example, you will know from that experience, I lost my brother when I was quite young, that it just shocks you into seeing the world differently. You just can't go back to that old way. That old self just doesn't exist anymore, and you're just bang, you're a different person. That's an emotional impact. For those that experienced 9/11 in America, when the planes hit the Twin Towers, that was an emotional impact. Their life changed forever. If you go through a divorce or just a really horrible experience, then you just see the world differently. That's an emotional impact. The problem is that it's usually not that positive. So we don't really want to be going around shifting paradigms every day through an emotional impact. It usually carries with it more trauma that we then hold in our body, and we really don't want to do that. What we want to do, which is way more fun and invigorating, is number 2, which is the continuous spaced repetition of a new concept or idea. I'm just going to have a drink of water. So number 2 is what we really want to focus on. Now, this is where we take how we want it to be. We take a new result and we start talking to ourselves in a different way. So we start to create new dialogue. And that new dialogue we start to reprogram into our subconscious mind through repetition. So this diagram is where all of the little bits is going to start to come together tonight for what I'm teaching you. So this diagram is called the stick person, and it was created in 1934 by a man named Dr. Thurman Fleet. He was a cognitive behavioral therapist, I think. I'm pretty sure he was cognitive behavior. And he was working with people that needed to change their mind. They needed to change their circumstances. I mean, how many people have heard that phrase, you've just got to change your mind. You've just got to think positively, But how do we do that? Like, we don't know what we're trying to change or work with, so it's very difficult. And he recognized that. He recognized that we were trying to change something that we've never seen. And because we think in pictures, we needed a picture to work with. So let me do this exercise with you. I want everybody just to close your eyes for a moment. Just write wherever you are, whatever you're doing, except you, Sean, because I think you're driving a tractor right now. So everyone else, as long as you're not in a car, close your eyes. Now walk up to the front door of your house. So you're walking up to the front door of your house. Now I want you to open the door of your front door, of the front of your house, and walk inside. And just have a look around. What do you see? Are you in the kitchen? Are you in the lounge room? Is there any artwork on the wall? Who's around you at the moment? So you can open your eyes again. So just with that activity, did you see words or did you see a picture? When I said walk up to your front door and open the door, what did you see? You probably saw the front door of your house in your imagination. It was there. It was in your mind. And this is the most powerful thing, is that we think in pictures. So when we think in pictures and we decide that we need to change our mind, there's no picture, because no one's ever seen the mind. Mind is in every cell of the body. But he identified that if we're to change something that we've never seen, we're going to need a picture to work with. And so he created this diagram called the stick person. Now let's break this down. Yeah, Sonia, exactly. You saw a picture. That's great. Thanks for sending in that question, that comment there. So usually if I'm doing this, I would now draw this diagram, but we're on a webinar, so we'll work with what we've got. So let's look at this diagram I've got on the screen right now, and you can see that large circle. Now the large circle is the mind. It is the mind. Now this is not the brain, this is the mind. Mind is much more than the brain. Mind is in every cell of the being, every cell of our body. Now let's draw a line through that large circle. The top half is our thinking or conscious mind. So this is where, for the sake of this exercise, let's just imagine that from my neck up is the mind. Now, the top half is your conscious or thinking mind. This is where you know what's going on. You know what you're thinking. The bottom half is the subconscious or the emotional mind. The subconscious connects to the body. So that little circle you can see that's got the word vibration written in the middle of it, let that be the body. Let that represent the body. The mind controls the body. The subconscious mind controls the vibration, the energy that we hold in our body. Now, think of this for a minute to prove my point. Have you ever walked into a room and without anybody opening their mouth, you just know that that person is not in a good mood? You just can sense it. We've all been there. That's energy. That person is giving off an energy. And I guarantee you that they've probably been consuming some pretty sour negative thoughts. They've really got out on the wrong side of the bed. And what that subconscious, it's just become conditioning, and that is being physically expressed through the body. So the body will express in energy whatever is going on at a subconscious level. So we feel it when we walk into the room with that person. Equally so, have you ever walked into a room with somebody and no one says a thing and you just are attracted to that person? They're just like a shining light in the room, and you don't know why, you don't know what they do, what their background is, but you just want to be near that person. That is energy. We are energy beings. We can feel it. So how do we control that energy? We control it through our thoughts, through the conscious thoughts that we internalize into the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind will accept whatever we tell it. So whatever we're thinking at a conscious level through the process of repetition starts to become part of our subconscious mind. That starts to impact on our body. It starts to change the way we feel. It starts to change our behavior, because now our behavior is changing, the actions that we're doing and our interactions are changing, and therefore our results start to change. So if you start to think back to some of those knowing doing gaps, and you start to think back to some of the thinking processes that you might be having around those knowing doing gaps or those habits that you want to change, start to think about, where has your thinking been at? Has it just been the same the whole time? Have you tried to change it? Maybe you have actually tried to change it. You've tried to think differently. But because it takes a while, not a while, but it takes constant effort to change the subconscious, you might have just not seen results and thought to yourself, well, this is not working. So you gave up. You tried something else. You took a different approach. But trust me when I say, if you stick to this, I guarantee with 100% certainty that your results will begin to change, because it is not only by law, it is by science. That as you change your subconscious programming, as you shift those paradigms, the energy that you carry in your body, your behavior starts to change, your interactions start to change, you start to attract different people to you, different circumstances, your beliefs start to change, your behavior starts to change, your self-image starts to change, and bang, before you know it, your results start to change. So this little stick person is absolutely the keys to the kingdom. This is like pure gold. And what you also need to remember is that you are the stick person. Your partner is the stick person. Your kids are the stick person. Your staff is the stick person. And we're all walking, talking stick people. And we all have paradigms. And we all have beliefs. And we all are putting out energy to the world. And we're all attracting things back. And we're this melting pot of stick people. And most people don't understand that this is what is controlling them. But now you have this information. So by you starting to understand really this diagram, you immediately start to understand your partner better. You understand your kids better. You understand your staff better. And you start to see and understand that, well, I know they're not going to do it because it's not habit. It's just, we're just consciously talking about it. We're throwing the idea around in a boardroom. Until it becomes part of the paradigm at a subconscious level, the results won't change. And now we're going to talk about how to start actually changing those paradigms. So as I said, paradigms control your behavior. Paradigms at a subconscious level, the feeling or emotional mind connects to the body, controls your behavior. The behavior controls your results. What you do or don't do controls your results. Now, this is where I'm going to sidestep just for a moment, because there's another really important part in this process. How do you know where to start? How do you know where to start with your paradigms? How do you know what to start working on? Because I'm sure right now you're all thinking, there are 1,000 things that I could work on, Karen. There are 5 knowing doing gaps straight away. That's often something that, people in Thinking into Results will say to me, where do I start? What do I start working on? And I always say, start working on the knowing doing gaps that will really start to improve your life in line with what you really want, in line with your goals. So this is where we want to just start to think about, what do I really want? Because this is important. We have to start thinking about what we want to start to change the paradigms, to start to feel and behave differently, to start to get the new results. But if we don't know what we want, if we don't know what our goals are, then we're just going around in circles. We get up in the morning and we're like, oh my God, what have I got to do? Where have I got to go? What's got to happen? Because we're not locked onto anything. There's no goal there to direct us. So if you're not a client of mine and you've never come across this, I'm going to really push you to think about some big goals tonight. Not boring goals. I don't accept boring goals, crappy goals, small goals. That's not what this is about. It's about starting to connect with what you really want. Not what you need, not what your kids need, not what your husband or wife needs, what you really want. Because that is when the magic is going to start to happen. That is when you start to plant that seed and you start to create that new thinking dialogue and you start to reprogram the subconscious mind. But without a goal or something worthy, we won't do it. Because it does take a little bit of effort. It does take a little bit of work. So we want to make sure that there's some sort of worthy cause or reason behind why we might want to do this. I've got another little poll for you in a minute. And make sure now, I did say I've got a special free productivity kit for you at the end that you can download. So please stick around to the end. I promise you that you're just going to get so much out of this. So really stick around. We'll finish it in another 25 minutes. So, so let's get on to goals. Now, in Thinking into Results, we talk about 3 types of goals. An A-type goal is doing something you already know how to do. You've done it before, you could do it again. I lost the 5 kgs, I'm going to do it again. You know, we need a new Land Cruiser. Righto, let's buy a new Land Cruiser. You've done it before, you can do it again. There's no growth attached. You see, the true purpose of a goal is actually to grow. It is to bring more of ourselves to the surface. The opposite of growth is actually disintegration. If we're not moving forward, we're going backwards. We can't stay in one spot. So the idea of a goal, and a big goal, is actually growth. It's to add a dimension of creativity to our life. It's something to look forward to know that we're working towards something that we really want. So an A-type goal, it's not really going to do it for you. It might still be something that needs to happen. Don't get me wrong. It could still be a task, something very practical that we just know that needs to happen. But it's probably not the thing that you'd get up every morning thinking about. It doesn't really add that dimension of creativity to your life and cause you to want to improve and close those knowing doing gaps and get up that 10 minutes earlier to go for a jog or whatever it is. It's not really going to spur you on. Then we move on to B-type goals. Now, these are the goals that most of us have probably been taught up or brought or told to set. This is based on need. It's what you need and it's what you think you know how to do. So it's where you gather up all the information of everything that's gone in the past, and you look at all the other people that you know and you say, well, based on the person that I am today, I think I could get to there. It's very logical. It's very rational. I always use the analogy, you know, no one ever gets out of bed in the morning and says, woohoo, I'm going to work today to pay off my credit card. You know, it doesn't really kind of fire us up. It's like, yeah, that's what I got to do. And look, I was setting these goals. I was, you know, I didn't know I could set the big ones. I just thought that was a dream. And one day if I was down the track, I'd be able to, you know, go for the C-type goal. So B is where most of us get caught. We unfortunately get caught in the whole SMART goal thing. Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic time frames. Stick a fork in me, I'm done. How boring is that? So we really want is a C-type goal based on wants and fantasy. We want to have the goal in our life that is what we really want. Sure, those B-type goals, you'll tick them along the way. But the C-type goal is really where the magic starts to happen, when you start to think about it and it excites you, and it probably scares you at the same time because you've never done it before. It's completely new territory. You are going after something that is beyond your current awareness of how that would even be possible for your life. You know, these could be, look, I mean, anything. They could be monetary. They could be taking your family on a holiday. It could be buying a new house. It could be renovating. It could be starting a business for the first time. Anything. It's completely yours, and only you alone can know that and discover it. And don't be surprised if there's nothing there in the beginning, because maybe you've never given yourself permission to really think about what you really want. Maybe you've been keeping the home fires burning, or you've been putting kids through boarding school, or you've been, you know, running the family business, and it's been very practical and very logical, and we've just had to do this and do this and do this, and it's been a drought and it's been tough, and I couldn't possibly, you know, think about what I really want. That seems crazy. Well, actually you want to. That's when things will start to change. When you get out of that conditioned thinking, that habitual patterns of behavior, the only thing that will really inspire you to think and act in a new and different way is a C-type goal, whatever you really, really want. Now, I'm going to put another poll up here now. I want to just see where everyone is at around goals. I've got 3 questions here for you to have a think about. They're very basic. They're very stock standard. So do you have any goals? Let me know. One response is you have absolutely no idea what you want. Don't know. Second one is, yeah, you have a few ideas. Maybe you're still, now that I've said the 3 types, like, I don't really know whether it's a B type or a C type. Not really sure. Or maybe you do have a C-type goal. Absolutely, you know what it is. It's written down. You love it. You think about it every day. it inspires you, it motivates you to push through the terror barrier and step out of your comfort zone, and it just really adds a dimension of creativity to your life. So let me know. Okay, we're getting some awesome responses there. So we'll leave it at that. I'm going to close that poll. Here are the results. So 7% of you have said, I have no idea what I want. I have no idea what I want. 36% of you have said, I have a few ideas, but I can't choose which goal to pursue. Yep. And 57% of you said, yes, I have a C-type goal and it's written down and I love it. And I could pretty much guarantee that everyone that ticked that one will be in the Thinking into Results program. So that's great. So it doesn't matter where you're at. I'm giving you resources tonight, and in the free productivity kit that you can access at the end of the program, I've put a few resources in there to help you think about this. Thinking about what you want is probably the most significant step that you can take right now to improving your productivity, to closing your knowing doing gaps, because now as you start to think about what you want, you have something to measure against. When you are thinking about your day and what needs to happen in the day, you have a point to be able to say, well, is this going to move me towards my goal or move me further away? Is this going to help the company reach where it wants to reach, or is this going to move away? Is this conversation really that important that I spend an hour on it? So these are the things. Without a goal, we're a bit lost. There's that procrastination. We're scared to make the decision because we don't know. I don't know what the impact of this decision will be because I'm not clear on my goals. I'm not clear on what I want personally or professionally, or where the company is trying to go. So just another little couple of tips here when we think about these C-type, when we think about these goals. And for those of you who answered, I have a few ideas but can't choose which one to pursue. So there were 36 of you there that said that. This is key for you, what I'm about to share. You ask yourself two questions. Am I able to do this? So for those of you who have a few ideas, you ask yourself, am I able to do this? Most of us are going to say yes, we are able. We're able to do it. We're generally fit and healthy. We might not know how. We might not even believe it's possible, but there is some sort of skerrick of, yeah, I would be able to do that. So that's pretty normal. The second question you want to ask yourself is, am I willing to pay the price? Am I really willing to do whatever it takes to get me to that goal? If your answer is yes, then you have a beautiful C-type goal in your life, and it will inspire you and it will motivate you. It will see you through the tough times. It will get you out of bed that 20 minutes earlier. It'll push you out of your comfort zone. It'll cause you to pick up the phone and call clients that you would have never been brave enough to call before, because now you have a worthy goal in your life. You have something that you really want, that has meaning for you, that brings a dimension of creativity that you're willing to see through until the end. The moment that you answer yes to that question, you have turned that fantasy into a theory. Now you've plucked it out of the ether, you've taken it from a dream, you've written it down on a sheet of paper, and you're starting to give it mental energy. Immediately, you're putting energy into that goal. You're starting to pull new thinking from the universe, from the ether into your mind. You know, have you ever thought about where ideas come from? Have you ever thought about where ideas come from? Ideas are thoughts directed for a specific purpose. Let me say that again. Ideas are thoughts directed for a specific purpose. So they are freely available. There are thousands, billions of ideas floating around just outside your conscious awareness right now, with no reason to come to you, with no reason, because you don't know what you want. You don't have a seat, you don't have a goal. But the moment you start thinking about that, the ideas will start to come. The resources will start to come. The people that you need to talk to will start to come, because now it is starting to direct. Your energy, your thinking, your focus is starting to become more direct towards what it is that you want. Has anyone got any questions about goals or goal setting so far? I'll just check the question box here before I keep going. Okay, so feel free to type to me if you've got any questions coming up around this. So let's just recap on this picture now, what it means to start to put together these elements. So we plant the goal in our subconscious mind. So where you see those words feel and emotions, the subconscious mind is the emotional mind. Whatever idea we get emotionally involved with, we start to feel in our body. It starts to really respond. The subconscious mind starts to take it on board. So whilst we just throw it around at a conscious level and we say, yeah, I could do that. I could start the new business. That would be fun. Yeah, I could earn $1 million a year. It's just at a conscious level. We haven't decided to do it yet, to say, that's actually, you know what? That is really what I want. And it scares me to accept that and believe it, but that's what I really want. Now we're going to start to get emotionally involved with it. The heart's going to flutter. We're going to, that nervous excitement because, wow, we're actually going to make it happen. Like, are we going to do this? Wow, this is awesome. I'm going to change jobs, or I'm going to go for my dream job, whatever it is that we want to do. So now we're starting to think about it every day. We're starting to build cells of recognition in our subconscious mind. We're starting to change our belief systems. We start to think from the place of having achieved that goal. We start to work on our self-image. So what happens is, in the beginning, you don't believe it's possible because it's just an idea. It's just it's a goal written on a piece of paper. But the more you look at it, the more you think about it, the more emotion you get emotionally connected to it you become. That's going to deepen it in the subconscious mind. And very, very quickly, you'll start to feel it in your body. You'll start to feel that that's not a hope or wish anymore. Like, I know that goal is mine. Like, I know I'm capable of doing that. And you start to notice your belief systems change because now you're not thinking those same thoughts you were thinking a month ago. That was your paradigm, that knowing doing gap. You're starting to think that I'm productive. You know, I'm confident, I'm calm, I'm more organized, I'm focused. And they become your dominating thoughts. So that old way of thinking, oh, I'm rushed, I'm not focused, I can't get anything done, I never win the contracts, I never, that's not your dominating thinking anymore because you've started to create new thinking processes that have gone in through your conscious mind into the subconscious mind. You've started to feel it in your body. Your behavior's starting to change. The actions that you take on a day-to-day basis are starting to change, and your results are starting to change. So it goes from thoughts to feelings to actions to results. So that is why that first step around starting to think about where you're at and what you really want is really important in being able to shift that paradigm. So when you get it up here, you start to close those gaps. You start to think, well, how could I do better today? If I had that goal, what would I be thinking about? What would I be doing? Would I still be eating that food? If my goal is to run a marathon, that's been something I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to run a marathon. I'm not fit enough. Well, guess what? For 10 years, you've been telling yourself you can't do it, you're not fit enough, so you haven't done it. But right at the beginning, you say, I'm so happy and grateful now that I've completed my first marathon. It was the best feeling ever. I absolutely loved it. And you start working with that new image. You are, not straight away, but after a few days, you will start getting up a little bit earlier and you'll get out and the daily progression, you'll start to improve what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. So I said earlier that the reason why having a goal is so helpful in improving what you are doing and your productivity is because you can measure your decision making. So now when you get up in the morning and you say to yourself, what am I going to do today? Now that you have a goal and you know where you're going and you know how you want to improve those results and you know what you want, you can say, well, that's not how I'm going to do it today. I'm going to make this decision, or I'm going to say yes to that. I'm going to take a different action. And in the beginning, it'll feel awkward and it'll feel weird because it's not habit yet, and you'll feel like you're stepping out of your comfort zone, and you might even feel a bit awkward and clumsy. But it gets easier and better every day as you just take one more step and you become a little bit more confident. You make another decision, and very quickly, these little decisions all start leading you towards your goal and your productivity starts to increase. And remember, because you're engaging with something that you really want, you feel good all the time. Nobody can get you down, because in your mind, you're creating this beautiful picture of life how you want it to be. That in your mind, you're experiencing the results how you want them to experience. And it's only a matter of time that you will actually start to experience those results. So just to recap and to start to sum up some of the concepts that I've shared with you tonight, wherever there is a gap in your results, wherever you are observing behavior or results that you don't really want, it's a paradigm. You have to shift the paradigm. How do you do that? You have to start thinking about what it is that you do want. So create new dialogue. Literally take out a sheet of paper and a pen and start to write out, I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm getting fitter and fitter every day. I love getting up 20 minutes earlier and going for a short walk, and I'm learning more and more about what my body is capable of. And so you start writing this, you start writing it out. It's written dialogue, and you read it every day and you write it out every day, and you're starting to reprogram the thinking processes into your subconscious mind over a period of time. Remember how I said that the way we want to change our subconscious mind is through the continuous spaced repetition of a new concept or idea. Over time, that starts to become you. You start to become the person that has that. You start to become the person that loves getting up early and going for a walk. And very quickly, within a month, you look back and go, wow, can't believe I've come so far so quickly. If it's in the office, let's say a couple of you said, office habits and keeping on top of the bookwork, you might start to say to yourself, you know what, I want to love this. I want to enjoy it. I want to be organized in the office. So you write out a written description. You say, I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm staying up to date with my bookwork for 10 minutes every day. I love being on top of things. I love walking into my office and it's so clean and organized, and I feel so refreshed in the space. Now, for the first few days, you're going to be writing and reading that, and nothing's going to change. You're still going to be walking into a messy office, your bookwork won't be up to date, nothing will have changed. But I guarantee you 100%, if you keep doing that, you're then going to start to make a little change. You're going to start to think a little bit differently about that. You're going to start to open up that laptop and do 10 minutes of bookkeeping every day. First thing you do when you come in, bang, 10 minutes, done. And so the knowing doing gap starts to close, your results start to change, you start to experience that situation differently, and you've started to shift the paradigm in line with the results that you want. In line with the results that you want. So the easiest way to do this exercise is to have 2 sheets of paper. On one sheet of paper, you write out the negative, or you write out the non-productive habits, the things that you're sick of, that you want to change, that you keep doing on a day-to-day basis and you can't seem to stop it. You write that out. And then on another sheet of paper, you write out a written description of how you want it to be. In all of it. Don't think about the how, just how you would love it to be. I get couples to do this. So let's say somebody, you want to improve your relationship. You'll write out how the relationship is at the moment and how you would really love it to be. And you start reading it and you're writing it out, and you start to think, well, what would that look like on a day-to-day basis? What would be the little actions that I would start to take that are different to what I have just been doing automatically? And so you start to make these little shifts on a day-to-day basis. And those little things that you do, when you do them regularly, create a big shift over a period of time. So what we're talking about tonight is not coming in and it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to happen by focusing on it day to day, by thinking about it on a day-to-day basis and just improving what you can on a day-to-day basis. Now, I just want you to look at one diagram here on this picture. Look at the little stick person that has terror barrier above it. So this is from lesson 7 of Thinking into Results. So what happens is when you step out and you start to close that knowing doing gap, you're going to start to do things that are unnatural, even just getting to work 10 minutes earlier. And you'll do it for 2 or 3 days, then you'll be like, oh, this is too hard, I can't do it, it's not worth it, I'm busy, and it'll just fall back to exactly how it was. You will have hit the terror barrier. It's foreign. You're now in what we call an XY vibration at a subconscious level. You're starting to entertain the idea of doing something differently. You're starting to entertain the idea of a new belief system or a new self-image. Who are you to think that? And you get all that internal dialogue. Who are you to think that you could do that? This is the chatter. You've never done that before. Don't be stupid. Don't do that. This is what goes on at a subconscious level. And we retreat to safety because we go, yeah, no, I can't do it. It's too hard. It's too big. Stupid me setting a goal like that. Just know that it's just the terror barrier. It's the XY vibration. It's an actual physiological reaction on the central nervous system. And if you go back, you're just going back into bondage. There's no growth attached there. But if you see it for what it is and say, right, okay, I know this is going to be uncomfortable because it's not habit yet. It's not normal for me to behave like this. I'm really starting to act differently. And just accept it for what it is and know that the terror barrier is part of the growth process and that you are growing. I promise you, when you get to the other side of it, you'll say, wow, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. You just have to, the fear will still be there, but you don't have to get emotionally involved with it. You don't have to buy into it. You just say, yep, I acknowledge that. I know I'm stepping out of my comfort zone. I know this is going to be a little bit scary. I don't have all the answers, but I know for what it is, and I know that I'm working towards my goal, and it's worthy of me to push through that terror barrier. It is worthy of me to do it. And that, again, is why that C-type goal is so important. It's got to be something that you want, because if it's not, you won't go through this process. You won't put yourself in the position where you feel a little bit uncomfortable, or you won't call those extra couple of clients because, there's not worth it. So you just really want to make sure that that C-type goal is something that you really, really want. Now, I'm going to give you the link to access the productivity kit. So in the chat box here, if you click on this link I'm about to give you, get it done. When you click on that link, I've given you access to download a productivity kit. I'm going to send you an email, and in there you're going to have some resources that you can start to use straight away to improve the productivity on a day-to-day basis by implementing some of the things that we have learnt tonight. Now, the last thing that I want to talk to you about is focus, is actually using the will, your ability to focus on one thing at a time and get it done. That is the whole point of this webinar. So just to recap, we now know what our paradigms are and how it controls us. We know that we need a worthy goal. Once we've got our goal, we can start to see where we need to improve and where we need to shift the paradigms. The third part of it is what we do on a day-to-day basis. So the easiest way is to start thinking about the 6 goal-achieving activities that you will do on a day-to-day basis. And what you do is you think about your goal and you say, what do I need to do today that's going to move me in the direction of that goal? Some of these activities will be big, some will be small, but you just write down 6, only 6, and you start at the top of the list and you focus on that until you get it done. And then you move on to number 2 and then number 3 and so on. The purpose of this is to demonstrate that if you cannot get it done by this method, you are never going to get the 6 things done by any other method. So this is about training yourself to focus and developing the ability using the will of the mind, your intellectual faculties. That's a whole other lesson we go into. But using the will of the mind to hold one idea, one activity, and do it and see it through to its completion. And as you start to do this, you will start to shift paradigms. That interruption paradigm, I always get interrupted. Well, you're going to become better at closing that gap because now you've got your list and you're just going to keep focusing and getting it done. The first week that you write this, you'll get nothing done on the list. You might get through 1 or 2. But the mere habit of sitting down and thinking about what needs to happen today, you're immediately going to become more productive because you're going to be more focused because you're thinking, well, really, what is important today? As opposed to getting out of bed and going into automatic mode, which is what most of us do without external stimulus like this. So in the Get It Done, when you click on that link, I'll share that link with you again now, or you've still got it there, you should be able to see it. If you go to karenbrook.com.au/get it done, in the little productivity kit that you can request from me, I have given you this that you can download. Now, this is a 6 goal achieving activities worksheet. It's what I use every single day. I sit down and I create my list, and you sit down and you say, what is most important that I get done today? And you create your list, and then you go and you start on number 1. And you're going to become very productive very quickly because now you are organizing your thoughts. Even if you don't get through them, even if you only get one thing on that list, you're starting to organize your thoughts. Our thoughts control how we experience our environment. The more organized your thoughts become, the more organized your environment becomes. You actually get calmer. You get more done in a calm, confident manner. The other thing that I'm going to give you in this productivity kit is 8 questions to get you started. I've given you the how-to. So I want you to sit down and think about these 8 questions. And this is going to start to help you think about where you're at and where are the changes that you'd like to make. Where are the knowing doing gaps? What might be your goal? So this is just to start stimulating the mind. Don't be surprised if you don't have answers to these questions that easily. They're probably questions that you may never have asked yourself before. That's a completely normal part of the process. It's designed to get you to start to think rather than going with what is automatically programmed in your subconscious mind. The other worksheet that you're going to get in that productivity kit is a Big Worthy Goals worksheet. So this is to start to get you thinking about what you really want. So you can download that PDF as well, and it will step you through a really basic process in looking at your goals. You're also going to get an electronic version of a goal card. Now, this is where you then write down your goal and you carry it with you. And every time you feel it and touch it, it triggers that goal on the subconscious mind, that image of what you want, and it immediately puts you into that positive vibration. It makes you feel really good. And like I said, you're also going to get that 6 goal achieving activities. So all you need to do is just click on that link, and then you'll get a whole heap of information, and you can click on request the productivity kit, put your information in, and you'll get it straight away into your inbox, all of those materials. So just to wrap up tonight, I'll finish with this. To shift our logic is our paradigm. It keeps us right where we're at. And break out of the box to freedom, we need to understand why we are the way we are. The good thing is that that understanding also helps us to shift it. That's the stick person that we learnt about tonight. We need courage and determination to actually do it. And often this only happens with the assistance of a coach or mentor, which is why that external stimulus, the materials that I've created, are so important. It'll be very hard to really create these paradigm shifts and change those habits by yourself because it's too easy to fall back into what is automatic. And that's the whole purpose of Thinking into Results, the 6-month program that gives you the time and space to close those knowing doing gaps, to work on the self-image, to overcome the terror barrier, to get clear on what you want, and to actually implement it in your life, to actually experience the impact of that new thinking on your results. And it works very quickly. So look, that's it for me tonight. Jump onto that link, download your productivity kit. There's heaps of resources in there. There's a couple of extra videos you can watch. Look, Thinking into Results is the most phenomenal personal and professional business transformation program you'll come across anywhere in the world. If you're interested in learning more about that, let me know and we can jump on a call at any stage. So look, thank you so much, everybody. I really hope that you've loved tonight. You've got a lot out of it. Love to hear your thoughts. If you have any questions, my contact details are freely available everywhere. So don't hesitate to pick up the phone and call me, send me a text message. I'm a real person. I'm here. I'm happy to talk to you. And yeah, just love to see the productivity go through the roofs. Get it done. Get the results that you want. It's all there. And yeah, enjoy and get started with it. Thanks very much for coming on the line tonight. And good night, everyone. I'll just check there's no questions here. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right. Thanks, Sonia. Thanks, Angelique, Steve. Pleasure to have you all on the line, and good night. Oh, Pam, you've got a quick question. I'll take that question, Pam. No, I won't. All right. There's a few of you still on the line. I'm happy to take a question if anyone does have a question. Just pop your hand up and I'm happy to bring you on the line if there's any questions. Okay, great. We'll wrap up there. Good night, everyone. Make sure you jump on and get your productivity kit. Good night.